Damn, this light's done.
Wake up to the sound, for the silence that allows for my mind to run around with my ear up to the ground. I'm searching to behold the stories that I told when my back is to the world. Was smiling when I turned. Just
shape, thinking out of box, I'm an astronaut. I'm blasting off the planet, rocking the cause catastrophe in that madness mode because I had it, now I had a part of my freaking had to go in opposition, kinda shocking, they were static with precision, I'm automatic, quarterback,
welcome to the Death Star.
What is good, Raider Nation? Welcome back to yet another episode of our Raiders Friday Night Roundtable. I'm joined by my friends Eric and Cortez. Say what's up, everybody.
What's good, Raider Nation?
What's good? What's good? So thank you guys. Yeah, salute everybody. Thank you guys for joining Eric and Cortez. Thank you to the mods in the chat for holding it down as always. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. And last but not least, thank you to our viewers for commenting and watching along with us. As we begin this broadcast, we got another great episode for you guys, as always. Just a quick reminder before we get started, as always, if you haven't already, if you could just go to all three of the platforms that we're currently broadcasting to, that's the Death Star Report YouTube channel, the DSR Aftermath YouTube channel, and the Death Star Report Twitch channel. If you go to all three of those platforms and like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on all three of those platforms, that would be greatly appreciated. As well as a final reminder, if you could join our Discord, we will have a link for that as well. It's a great community. We have a whole bunch of things going on. We have a Raiders chat, general chat where we just talk about life. We talk about MLB, NHL, NBA, all those different kinds of sports as well, not just football. We have fantasy football leagues in there as well. We have free giveaways, movie nights, all kinds of great stuff going on in there. Like I said, it's a great community. We'd love to have you, and it's just another part of our identity here at Death Star Report. So like I said, for those three broadcasting platforms, you could like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That would be great for us, as well as join the Discord. Links for all four of those will be in the comments section momentarily, and we will also be posting them multiple times throughout this broadcast, so you guys will have multiple chances to check those out. And like I said, if you could do all those things for us, like the videos, comment, subscribe, and join our Discord, that would be great. Because like I said, it helps us out tremendously and helps us deliver the content that we know you guys like, as well as it enhances our community that is the Discord. So with that out of the way, and without further ado, let's just get right into our first topic. So obviously the biggest news of today to hit Raider Nation was that the Raiders are expected to put the franchise tag on running back Josh Jacobs if between now and the couple days left until the franchise tag deadline, both parties are not able to reach an agreement on a long-term contract or extension or things of that nature. So because of that, there's been a lot of buzz around about Are they going to trade Josh Jacobs? Is he going to play under the tag? Are they just doing it to buy more time to, not have to necessarily worry about a deadline of extending him until, after the draft, for example, or, several months down the line to see if they can finally hammer a deal out once they have, other personnel in the way of free agency or, like I said, through the draft. So because that, like I said, this is our first topic. Like I said, it's going to be the issue of franchise tagging Josh Jacobs. Salute Ray and Al's Ghost, by the way, for hopping on. Thanks for joining as always.
Salute.
So why don't we just go around the panel and talk about our thoughts on this? Do we think he's going to be traded? Do we think there even going to be a franchise tag? Because there is still some time left. Are they going to trade him? Are they going to release? Not they're going to release him. That's probably not going to be a possibility anymore. But are they going to sign him to a long-term deal? Is he going to play under the franchise tag for the 2023 season? What do you guys think? Cortez, why don't you go first?
Give me 1 second. Let somebody else go.
Okay, no problem.
I'll
go.
go.
You want to go first? Okay, Ray, go first.
Salute though, everybody. Sorry I was late, but
Okay.
yeah, franchise tagging Josh Jacobs. I mean, like I think Dustin talked on this a couple of days ago or like a week ago on, I feel like if we were to pay him, we'd probably ask for the same amount of money, around 10 to 11 million. So this franchise tag is roughly, I'm pretty sure it's either 10.2 or 10.8, somewhere around there. Somewhere around there.
Yeah,
the franchise tag.
somewhere around
So
there.
it's gonna be just as much just the right amount of money that he would have asked for a contract. But I don't know what they're gonna do. The franchise tag is very questionable because we haven't made a move yet, and we have to make a move by Tuesday on Josh. So I don't know. I'd personally franchise tag him, or I would personally try to give him a contract first. If he doesn't agree with the contract, then just franchise tag the dude. I wouldn't want that guy go. But yeah, that's really it. I'd keep him on a franchise tag.
Okay, so what you're saying is don't extend him, whether they keep him and he agrees to play under the tag this year, or they trade him, keep him on the tag.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I'm saying though, if he doesn't agree on a contract, like if he were to ask for more, or I don't know what it is, the situation. If they just don't agree on a contract by Tuesday, at least, hopefully there's a franchise tag on him.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah, because that's the deadline.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. First of all, I mean, obviously we've heard sort of things. At least I have about I guess what you would call like the Raiders regime, if you will, the head coach, GM, whatnot. Their sort of approach to this right now is that there are so many holes on the roster that they're basically asking Josh to be a team player and allow them to keep a lot of money for filling up other holes throughout the roster, of which there are many, especially on defense. I think we can all agree to that. But at the same time, as Josh himself has said, it has to make sense for him, meaning that like this guy just came off a historic year and a career year for him. Honestly, as much as I love him, he's probably my favorite player on the team. I don't think I can blame him for not wanting to play on the tag. It's one of those things where like I can't imagine a guy after putting a season out like that, especially a running back who may never have another season like that. Wanting to do something like that. And then that's sort of the problem, especially with, on both sides, on the franchise's position as well. You might not have a season like that again, due to injury or due to complacency or whatever, because you already made that money. And so we don't feel comfortable signing you and from the running back's perspective, it's always, I just had a great year. I've shown that I'm an elite running back, in Josh Jacobs' case, he's first team all pro, won the newly christened Jim Brown Award. So I don't know. It's tough to say, but I think he's going to have to be paid more than the franchise tag in order for him to stay. I just think that like it's the only thing that makes sense for both parties.
I think we may do that traditional. See if somebody will jump on it for 2 picks.
Mm-hmm.
I think that may happen, and we may just let him go for 2 picks.
Yeah. I mean,
it's tricky. It's very
It
tricky.
is.
That's all I could say.
It is, and the other part about it is, in the wake of obviously the Derek Carr divorce, as
In
controversial as
19
that
minutes,
was.
I'm gonna step away. All right. I gotta
Yeah, no
go do
problem.
that.
Could you just post the links, by the way, in the comment section when you get a chance?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, so obviously in the wake of the Derek Carr divorce and that,
Now we're past the.
that happening, right? But I just mentioned that because one way to view it, excuse me, is that he's been a part of, Josh is another part of this core that, do you want to see go? Can you really put a price on him, so to speak? In other words, is he enough of a leader in this locker room? Has he commanded enough respect where the team just wouldn't look the same without him in a Raiders uniform? Because, honestly, if you ask me, he really saved Josh McDaniels' job, or at least saved a lot of face as far as the offense, because the offense was not really looking that good until they realized that they were pretty much a run first team and that the offense ran through Josh, and so because of that, you could argue that like I said, I mean maybe there's no price that's too high, or at least a long term extension is in the cards and should be in the cards, because of what he's done for this franchise and the kind of respect that he commands in the locker room. So that's another thing to factor in as well. I would also say this is sort of like a chaos scenario or something that could you throw everybody for a loop, including all the draft experts. I would say, because I haven't heard a lot about this, but potentially with the seventh round pick assuming that they stick with a guy like Stidham, or they some other free agent quarterback veteran that they have decided not to, or that they decided to go with for the year. If they don't move up or down in the draft, they could draft a guy like Bijan Robinson with their first round pick, and there's a lot to be
Hey,
excited
give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, I mean, that would obviously, if they were to do that, then tagging Josh would mean he has trade value. Obviously, he's tradable. You could keep him until after the draft. You wait for the draft. You draft a guy like Bijan Robinson, and then
There he
Josh.
is, right there. Don't you see him, Jeff?
There he is. That's
What's up?
him. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to double check on it, but I would think that he would be right around that. Let's see. I mean, obviously, at this point, there's a lot of it's taboo, or it's not. You're not supposed to draft a running back in the first round anymore. But that's definitely
Right.
possible. I don't know. I think Eric, did you want to go? Do you want to add anything?
Oh, no, I was agreeing. Well, he's tagged, which was expected. And
Right.
if they can't come to a deal, then yes. But then again, I believe that they can get a deal done post the franchise tag, I think until June, late
There's
June,
a deadline, I think, to get it, or he's gonna play on the franchise.
or something like that. But after he's franchise tag, they can do a deal anytime after that. So franchise tag's what, $10 million, $10 million, right? Something like that.
Yeah, it's
And and
10.5, I think.
and if you tag him, you have to give up 2 first round picks, which is pretty expensive. If you think about it.
That's the traditional, isn't that one? It's not the
Let me
franchise.
hold on. Let's see.
Yeah, it is.
2023
It
franchise.
is.
Yeah,
It is
10.
because
It's 10 million.
it is because he was drafted in the first round, so he has a first round tender on him. So you give up 2 first round picks. That's pretty expensive. And
Hey,
thinking about it, he
like
had
this.
a
Yeah.
The Bills could
hmm?
get the Eagles.
Right.
The Eagles got Miles Sanders, and they don't know what to do with him either. But
See, but Jacobs is more proven than Sanders. Can we?
oh,
To be
definitely.
honest, guys, to be honest, I think, I think obviously we're tagging JJ, but I also think he's going to get traded. I think it's going to be a tag and trade scenario. I would say it's probably like an 80% chance of that scenario occurring. I think Ziegler's trying to build up this team in his image, the way that he wants it, and he wants as many draft picks as possible. And
Right.
the tenure of running backs isn't long, frankly.
Right.
So I know he's still only like 24, I think, right? Like he's only like 24, 25 because he joined the league like very, very young.
Yeah, 2019 was.
Hey, this is gonna be the GM of the year, right there.
You doing your profile picture carousel again?
Nah, bro. Nah,
Okay,
nah.
you're
That's when
gonna.
he signed the mini helmet that I have.
Oh right, yeah, that's cool. Oh, you're talking about your YouTube pro. Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool that you had that fan engagement. Yeah, you bring
Oh
up
yeah,
some.
but
Yeah,
hey, let me get this straight. But the reason that I lost respect for Carr is because he didn't want to even go like Dave Ziegler went and signed, so that's why.
yeah, I've seen. I mean, I've seen like footage of him too. Like he just kind of like gets in the zone. I mean, as an athlete, like a GM's one thing, right? Because like as a GM, you in game, you're not really worried. You're just kind of like watching the product on the field week in, week out. I mean, you're still looking for stuff, but pre-game, you don't really have to like lock in, so to speak. So like you could argue that coaches and coaches even and players are different from guys in the front office, like in the like GMs, because you can't fault a guy for wanting to get locked in. Everybody has their own different like ritual or mentality, whatnot, as far as getting ready for in game, because coaches and players have to worry about that. So that's the only thing I'll say about that. But as a fan, I do understand how you feel kind of slighted if a player doesn't give you the time of day. But yeah, to your point, Als Ghost, yeah, I mean, the more we talk about it now, the more it makes sense to me that why a franchise tag would happen, and not only that, a franchise tag that would lead to a trade, because first of all, as we've said, there are a bunch of teams that would value him. The market value for the demand for Josh Jacobs is definitely there. You think about a guy like a team like the Bills. One of their biggest, most glaring holes, roster wise, has been a stable, good running back. To anchor the running game. I mean, Josh Allen has been their running back, but that's not sustainable, and we've seen that in their failed playoff runs over the past several years. So, obviously there's going to be teams that are going to want to trade for him. On the flip side, you're sort of rolling the dice, whoever it is that keeps him, whether it's the Raiders or a team that trades for him, because you fast forward, or excuse me, you rewind a couple years back to the Carolina Panthers. They signed Christian McCaffrey to that huge deal after he had that unreal year in 2019, I believe. And then for the next 2 years, he's just not able to stay on the field. So obviously, it's worked out so far beautifully with the situation in San Francisco with McCaffrey since trading for him. But the argument there is that maybe it's too much of a risk to sign a guy to a big deal, have him take up all this cap just for him to not be able to play. I mean, from a team standpoint and a financial standpoint, that's really bad news. That's not a good position you want to be in. So, like I said, the fact that I'm looking at it right now, Bijan Robinson is projected to be a first round top guy, right in our wheelhouse, I would think. That's a guy, I feel like I haven't heard a lot about as far as draft buzz surrounding, what the teams in the top 10 are going to do. It's all, the focus has been pretty much on, defensive guys and quarterbacks. So that could be a sort of a sleeper, especially if, Jalen Carter, if his draft stock plummets, that could change up things, especially in the top 10. So that could throw everything for a loop, and maybe a guy like Bijan Robinson falls to us. And if that's the case, then if we're tagging, like I said, if we're tagging Josh, then we'll have him from beyond the draft. We can figure out the draft. I'm going to use the word draft again, but if we draft, if we draft Bijan Robinson or another running back of that that caliber, then it could very well be Splitsville, and it does make sense. I hate to say it, but and part of this regime is is they've been very cold and heartless in a lot of ways, but I have to say a decision like this would make sense in a lot of ways. Even as much as I love Josh Jacobs, like I said, can't put a price on what he's done for this team. He's an incredible talent. I wish him the best if he does leave, but me, I'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, hate to say it, but it does make sense. Cortez, you still there? Cortez? No, still okay. Yeah, was there anything else anybody wanted to add to this topic before we?
Before we go to it,
Give me
just
one
I'm
more
hoping.
minute.
Oh, so I'm hoping we do not let that dude go, because replacing that production, it ain't easy, man. Like
Right.
it's not easy, bro. Like Saquon's not coming through my door right now. He's not coming through. So if you're gonna
Mhm.
replace him with somebody, it has to be somebody that can replicate what he's done. And Bijan Robinson, nice. I mean, he went to the wrong school, but he nice. Like he carried that Texas team. It wasn't Quinn Ewers. It wasn't you, sir. It wasn't
Right.
you. Bijan Robinson was literally their entire offense. Like he's nice,
Right.
but I'm hoping we do not let that dude go, man, because that is a generational talent. And
Yeah.
he already said he got a house here, he got a family here.
Yep.
Even Ziegler said in the presser that he wants Jacobs to be a Raider for life. Now that sounds good, but what's the price?
Right.
What's the price?
Right.
See, the price matters everything. And this is man, it's dicey.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he stays, man. I'm hoping they keep this man here long term.
Hmm.
Because honestly, out of that whole draft haul, him and Max and Hunter are the only ones that have been like productive that have earned their deals.
Right.
See everybody else, Clee, he gone.
Hmm.
Kevin Mullen, he out of here.
Right.
So
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
dicey.
yeah. Yeah. No, those are some really good points. I mean, yeah. First of all, obviously, I definitely could see the instinct to want to hold on to any good players, especially ones that we get through the draft, because as we all know, over the past several years, drafting with this team has not gone well at all. There's been diamonds in the rough for sure, but there have just been some screamingly bad decisions. Alex Leatherwood, like you said, Cleveland Farrell is like
Abram,
borderline. Yeah, exactly. Like Jonathan, like the list pretty much goes on as
Arnett,
far as guys that
sheesh,
right, yeah, right.
Arnett,
Jalen
man, I can't even
Arnett,
speak on that one.
Trayvon Mullen, it's the list. So from that standpoint, yeah, you could definitely say, look, maybe this isn't our thing, drafting. So maybe the ones that we do find that are productive that can help this team, we want to hold on to as tightly as possible. Pause. But and the other point you made, Eric, is good, which is that sometimes you can't put a price on a proven commodity in a sport. That just goes with any sport, not just football. If
Right.
a guy, because the draft is a crapshoot, no matter what all the experts say, no matter how much time and effort you put into analyzing or studying a player and how their skills might translate, and that's what they always say. Can the skills translate? No matter how much you do that, you never quite know, what a guy's made of, or if he's going to come in the right situation, or if his attitude about the NFL in general is going to be right. So, or is he going to stay healthy is another big thing too. So, with all those things, maybe, I hate to say it, but maybe Bijan Robinson could be a bust too. It's a risk. But the other thing is that, and this is again another counterpoint, the, financially it's less of a risk to roll the dice on a rookie as opposed to, paying all this money to a proven veteran who's going to want a lot of money, who unfortunately plays at an injury prone position, where um, it could take up a lot. Like I said, it could take up a lot of cap space where, we could fill a lot of other holes to the point where, a rookie running back could come in here and do a lot of damage, and make a big impact. So it is a tough call. And like I said, even if they do trade him, or even God forbid, I can't imagine they would release him or just let him walk a
That
free agent.
that'll be slap in the face, bro.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, it's different because with the Carr thing, he had the no trade clause, so the trade was never going to happen. But with Josh, if you're just releasing, that makes no sense because then you get no value out of him
You get
whatsoever.
no
So,
value, and it's just
right,
man,
right,
it's just trading him. Like you trade him, you need a
First
legit
of all, you
response
couldn't get
for it.
any values off of Carr. You got to get value out of Jacobs. Shoot.
Well, Carr had low
right.
value, but Carr was so petty that he said, "Hey, release me so I can go wherever I want." But
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I
but
mean,
that's two different situations. Though Carr was salty, so he said, "Just release me so y'all can leave with nothing." But he also fumbled the bag. You tell me, Eric. Hey, you can work wherever you want. I'll give you $40 million. I'm out of there. I'm out of there. But I guess he felt some type of way about what happened. But two
yeah.
different situations.
I mean, clearly, and as we've talked about before, as far as that situation goes, why would you have the team that you're going to give up draft picks to lessen their ability to build a team around you more. It's not the most team friendly sort of thing. So part of it I think wasn't petty. I think part of it was just football smart. Like if you want a team to surround stuff around, especially if he has a team in mind like the Saints, which I think he's going to the Saints. That's my prediction. But you know, if a team like the Saints with a really bad cap situation, you know, especially you don't want to take away draft picks from a team like that if you really like the situation down there. So if he does have that in his mind, that's a team he wants to go to. I could definitely see why he would not want a trade to happen at all, because the Raiders would demand premium picks for him, obviously, to try to sell him as high as possible.
Yeah.
And that just it wouldn't make any sense for the Saints. But yeah, as far as Josh Jacobs goes, the other one thing I wanted to point out is going back to that McCaffrey Carolina Panthers situation. You could argue that the Panthers won that trade. I mean, simply by trading a premium player like that, they were able to get enough capital back to be able to in theory build their team. Their new head coach now, Frank Reich, could walk in and really begin to rebuild this team the way he wants to, because they got so much out of the trade of McCaffrey. So that's another thing to consider as well, is they could just be looking at it as Josh could be the conduit to, or the vehicle for rebuilding the team, and that in a way could be his legacy if they do end up trading him, that he was able to help usher in the new era of Raiders football, which could in the long run be for the best, as much as I hate to say it, because it really will be tough to see him go. But yeah, it'll be a tough decision. We'll have to see what happens in the next coming days. I think everyone's pretty confident at this point that they're going to tag him, because with tagging him, you can either trade him or extend him. It's just that this piece of news itself isn't that big. It's just that, at this point, they haven't been able to get a deal done. And they probably, especially from the Raiders side, there's no reason to, because they still have to figure out so many other, holes in the roster to plug. To the point where rushing a decision right now doesn't make any sense. So that's why the franchise tag is there. It is a good deal of money for right now, but and another thing to consider could be that, like, from Josh's standpoint, if what he says is true about wanting to, or being willing to play for the franchise tag, and then sort of waiting between now and when the real deadline to wait for a deal, and I believe like June or July, to expire, between now and then, to see how the team is built, and then if Josh feels confident in what's being built around him, then he'll stay playing for only $10 million. And then they'll obviously figure it out come next offseason. So with that said, like I said, it's a tough decision. There's a lot of things at play. We're going to have to see what happens. But like I said, don't be surprised if they draft a guy like Bijan Robinson and then they pretty much seal the fate of Josh Jacobs, as much as we'd probably hate to say it. Was there any last thing anybody wanted to add on this topic before we move on to the next one? Okay, cool. All right, so with that, we're going to move into our next topic. So Cortez, are you there? Cortez?
What's up?
Yeah. Do you want to get us started on your topic of Anthony Richardson? I know you said that you started watching the film and you got excited about him.
Oh man, I think that's gonna be our quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
yeah,
what specifically about him?
The specifically thing about Anthony Richardson, that guy got to arm. Like, he's not afraid to gunsling it.
Mm-hmm.
And then run. He can. He's not afraid to run, but that's not his first option to always run. His option is to move in the pocket. He's kind of like a Patrick Mahomes type of, like a Cam Newton type of quarterback.
Right.
And to be honest, like what Dave Ziegler's been saying, it's not like right now. Like, it may take a year or two. And plus, that he's only 20 years old.
Right.
That's young. Like, you set him for 2 years. I'm just falling in love just watching a couple games against. Who was it against?
Against Utah?
No.
In the bowl game?
LSU when he gunslinged that,
Oh yeah.
he's thrown like a couple of passes for like 81, 75. Just one pass. The receiver goes the rest of the way. I believe that, to be honest, in the long run, he would be a better option for us in the long run. And just let him get up to date with the offense. And like Josh McDaniels said that he doesn't care if he gets a mobile or a pocket passer.
Mm-hmm.
And once I seen Anthony Richardson play, he's mostly a pocket slash gun mobile. Like there's some design plays that I seen, and the guy could run and score a touchdown on like I think he ran for like 40 yards at least for a touchdown and bounced off. And the other thing that I like, he could get out of tackles. When somebody tries to come up to him, he pump fakes it like he's gonna throw it and then slips away and then runs away from him down the sideline.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, first and
Tomorrow's
foremost,
the day that we're
based
gonna
on where
see
he's
everything.
trending. Oh, the combine. Yes, Jay. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the combine starts tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, quarterbacks. I think it's just quarterbacks, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
No. Isn't it quarterbacks and receivers too, right?
Halfbacks. And
Well, actually,
no. Receivers, I think.
Let's look up the schedule.
It's receivers, I believe. In 9 minutes, I gotta step away again, Jeff. All right.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. And then.
So today was D-backs. Tomorrow is quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends, which makes sense because quarterbacks have to have somebody to throw to.
Yeah.
Right, and then Sunday is running backs and O-linemen.
We're already. Everybody knows that we were the first ones to talk with C.J. Stroud, but just Richardson, because of his age, that's the only thing like that's bright for us. We could sit him for a year, or if Stiddy doesn't work half of the season, throw out Richardson. Let's see what Richardson could do after half of the year learning the playbook. I think we're going in the right direction, Jeff.
Yeah,
and more of me thinking about it. What did Josh McDaniels do when he? What college did he draft the quarterback from? I'm just throwing this out there. Who? What college was it?
Are you talking about?
Tebow?
Tebow and Richardson, Florida Gators, both of them.
Yeah, I mean,
and Richardson's not that small and like weight. He's 232, I believe.
Yeah. And he's 6'4". I mean,
6'4", bigger than Carr. Could see over the line better than Carr would ever do.
Right.
And I'm like very happy that we moved on from Carr. I like Richardson.
Yeah, I mean, like I was gonna say, first and foremost, in terms of draft projects and all that, assuming that we're not going to, assuming that we're not going to trade up, Anthony Richardson would probably fall to us. So naturally, it could be a guy that we'd pick. He'd probably be the highest, with the outside chance of Will Levis maybe falling to us, assuming that teams, for example.
But at the combine, if you notice, we really weren't really interested in Will Levis, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's once again, we're not Josh McDaniels or Dave Ziegler. We don't know what they're looking for, what they're looking at, what they're emphasizing, what they're not. I just meant that, even if they were somewhat interested in him, it's possible, like I said, that a team like Seattle, for example, drafts Will Levis, assuming that they don't continue their relationship with Geno Smith. So if that's the case, and once again, another wild card to throw out there is that teams could trade up who need a quarterback. And obviously, history has shown many examples of teams trading up for a quarterback. So that's possible. I would just say, like I said, Anthony Richardson is probably going to fall to us immediately or naturally without having to do anything on our end. Like you mentioned, Cortez, he's a pretty big guy. He's 236 pounds. He's 6'4". that 6'4", I would say, height wise is something to be excited about. He's not scrawny. He's not. He doesn't have a small build at all. He's probably tough to tackle. We know that, especially at the college level, we knew that he, was really impressive with the run. And we
Hey,
know
this
that.
weekend, if you guys have not watched his tape, I recommend you guys to watch his highlight tape to see what you guys think of him.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, another thing to take into account is strength of schedule.
I would ask you to bring it up, but then they would block the people in the
Yeah,
chat from watching it, so I wouldn't. That's the only knock on YouTube right now.
yeah. I mean, obviously, that we wouldn't be able to show any footage of that, but strength of schedule is another thing to take into account as well. As far as as it's SEC football, that's as close to the NFL probably in general as you're going to get. So that especially going up against the likes of the University of Georgia. So,
Hey, bro, to be honest, I think we're in the bright future. The
yeah, I mean,
future is bright for us. I don't care what other fans say because we moved off Carr. It was time to move. I like
I mean,
these year quarterbacks. I like this year's quarterbacks and last year's, or this year's and next year's. I mean, draft class.
mhm.
Like, there's some good quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, there are a bunch
Like,
of
like,
really good.
like Jake Hayner from Fresno State is not no slouch either. He can move around,
Very
do what he
true.
has
Very
to do.
true. You know, Andy Scott Jr. That guy right there. That guy right there, the dog.
Hey,
Just
next year's gonna be just straight fire, man.
oh yeah, you
But
got
I'm just
Caleb, the Heisman winner. You
Rudy,
got who else you got?
but you need to look. I don't know, but I gotta dip real quick. I gotta go get this.
No problem.
Oh, go ahead,
I'll be
fam.
right
Go ahead,
back.
fam.
You guys could still talk on it. I may not be. And you could blame Mark Davis all you want. It's still his team. He could run it the way that he wants. You're just a dang fan. What's your?
But
You're
that,
just
I
a
mean,
fan
Oh
that's gonna get money into his pockets if you keep buying Raider stuff.
no.
Still going into his pockets.
Cortez spitting right now.
but that's part of that's the whole point of the show, right? Is to like debate about what these guys should do. Not obviously everybody knows we have no control over what happens. We're just fans theorizing
Right.
and debating about stuff. But I agree, Rudy, and thank you for your comment. The quarterback position. You definitely you don't want to put the cart before the horse. In other words, you want to get your guy, um, but at the same time, you don't want to rush it. You want to really be sure that this guy can take you to the promised land. Um, and so, because of that, as we've discussed before, even all throughout this week, maybe the solution is that there is no solution for this year. In other words, you get a bridge quarterback like a Stidham, who knows the playbook, could maybe have some fun moments. You guys think that 6 to 7 wins with him is realistic? I find that hard to believe given our schedule next year, but at most I would say 6 or 7 is possible. And like I said, if this year our big first round pick is a guy like Bijan Robinson or perhaps a marquee defender, a defensive player, then maybe next year we put things in place to draft another quarterback next year. So this is sort of a 2 to 3 year plan here that we're working with. So that's another possibility as well. As far as Anthony Richardson goes, like I said, I mean, the guy can definitely get it done on his feet. He's tough to tackle. We know that the likes of guys like Lamar Jackson can create a lot of matchup problems for a lot of teams because there's always the threat to run. It's hard to really scheme for a double threat kind of guy like that. And so because of that, there is a lot of value to Anthony Richardson in theory, and like I said, the strength of schedule is there. I mean, yes, I don't think the record was really that good. I think what they were like 7-6 this year. Florida was something like that. So I mean, but we're talking about what 600 yards on the ground, 9 touchdowns. That's not nothing. Obviously we know that a guy like this, he specializes in certain gadget plays like QB power, things of that nature. Using him as a running back. So, you know, it's definitely something to consider. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I think the Raiders definitely have their eyes on Anthony Richardson. I think it definitely does make sense that they would be evaluating him tomorrow of all days at the combine. Al's Ghost, was there anything you wanted to add? You still there? Al's Ghost? Ray, what about you? Did you want add anything to this topic?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know too much about Anthony Richardson, but I heard a lot of talk about this guy. We kind of bash this guy a little bit. I know that,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't really had a chance to look at him. But I guess tomorrow I'll get my full evaluation. Even though, to be honest, the combine doesn't really mean anything because let's take guys for example like Jarvis Landry. He had one of the worst combines of all time,
Mm-hmm.
and look, and he came to be a stud wide receiver and where he
Mm-hmm.
was. So I
Right.
can't just I'm not gonna fully judge him off the combine, but I want to see like a little perspective of him. Even though I didn't get to see too much Florida ball. I'm not too much into college football, but I'm gonna try my best. Even though this is kind of our most important position is quarterback, so
Right.
this is something we have to look towards the future. So I'm gonna definitely pay attention to that. But
Right.
for Richardson, I heard he's good. He has a huge arm. He's just as athletic. He's pretty good. If I were to give him a comparison to a quarterback, probably be Cam Newton, just the way his
Right.
play style and what he is,
Right.
and like his whole body type too, dude. He just looks like a Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would say I don't know. Maybe the numbers. I'm not a complete expert on college football numbers because they are different from the NFL. But this past year, he had a 53.8%, 53.8 completion percentage. To
Oh,
me, that doesn't scream totally accurate. Um, Yards to me are a little down. I mean, 2,549. That's pretty good, right? Especially for a guy who runs probably as much as he passes. And then touchdown interception ratio is 17-9. So 17 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. So that overall, this past year he did pretty well, I would say. Um,
how many
like I said,
rushing yards did he have?
he had like 600 something. Let's see. Let's double check. 654.
Okay,
So he averaged
good.
6.3 yards a carry, that's
That's
really
pretty
good.
good.
I would say. Yeah. So, um, and that probably I would say of all, if you were to isolate one stat, that one stat, yards per carry, the efficiency is what leaps out off the page at especially Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, if not, other coaches and GMs, because the efficiency there will probably translate to the NFL. Like I said, a guy who's 6'4", probably going to be like pretty tough to tackle in general. He's not a guy who could probably hit high up, and just have him, make him fall down easily. You're going to have to hit him low. So for that reason, he's probably decent. He'll probably be a decent threat in the NFL as a runner. So I do understand the Anthony Richardson argument. It's tough for me because like maybe I'm old school about it, but I just feel like what I've seen out of him is not like the prototypical like quarterback.
Hmm.
The things you want out of your quarterback. When I actually look at a guy like as I compared on Wednesday him to Hendon Hooker, I feel like if we're talking about actual what we usually look for in like conventional like quarterback or conventional quarterback skills and the skill set, if you will, I've seen a lot more out of Hendon Hooker than I have out of Anthony Richardson. But obviously, the big red flag with Anthony Richardson is the torn ACL this year. It
Hmm.
shortened his season, so that was obviously a bummer for him, and it's also it's a cause for concern because is he going to clear medically? Is he going to be the injury prone guy now? Because as we've seen, with a guy like Tua Tagovailoa, he had that injury his last year in college, and that you could argue sort of affected his play right out of the gate. He sort of had a rough start to things. Um, so you don't want a guy who's going to be injury prone, and it's tough to shake that label. But
If I'm
there's
a and
for it. Go ahead.
no, my bad, Jeff. I was gonna say, but I was gonna say this really quick. If I'm between Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud, I think we all know the answer there. We're taking CJ for sure. I'm taking CJ in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Just to keep that just to keep that with everybody else, because I don't know if the people might be like, oh, if CJ Stroud's there and Anthony Richardson, I'm gonna take Richardson. Hell no.
Wait, I just want to say, porn star Jimmy and Hooker in Vegas together at the same time. The marketing potential there is second to none. I just wanted to. So that right there would sell itself. But yeah, I mean, and that's another good point. So sort of connecting it back to our previous topic, which was obviously what the Raiders are going to do with Josh Jacobs, assuming that they do franchise tag him. If they do end up trading him, retroactively, or even I guess potentially even before the draft, the picks they could get for him could compensate for what they're going to give up to trade up to get a guy like a CJ Stroud or potentially a Bryce Young. So I think that could be in the works as well. Um, because like I said, I mean, even if you're going to first um, be okay with the fact that you're going to give up a lot of assets, probably like 2 to 3 picks to get to the number 1 slot to draft CJ Stroud, um, you could turn right around and say, okay, we're going to trade Josh because we tagged him right after the draft or right before the draft, and we can recoup the picks that we'd given up for him. So that's a possibility as well. Because it seems like there are multiple different angles that the Raiders could attack this from, and I think that's why we haven't really heard a lot of news yet, because I think they're still thinking about um, all these different options. And obviously, one of the biggest factors in their decision is going to be tomorrow. Is going to be that combine. They're going to have a great look at all these different guys that they could potentially trade up for. So because of that, they're going to have on the field, they're going to have a better view than anybody of what these guys look like. They're going to try to pick apart different situations, how these guys look relative to, I guess, certain routes that they want, that the receivers are going to run at the combine, that they want their receivers like Devontae Adams to run, and how the chemistry may or may not shape up. Um, things of that nature. So obviously, we're going to have to wait and see as far as what this franchise, what this franchise aims to do. But yeah, like you said, Ray, I mean, Stroud probably is the best quarterback in the draft. I don't think anyone's doubting that. So, yeah, a leapfrogging of a bunch of different teams just to lock in the ability to draft Stroud could be in the works. And 7-1 is not nearly the greatest leap in terms of draft position to draft up to get a quarterback. We've seen teams like I think we were talking about it not too long ago, the Jared Goff situation several years ago. That was, I believe, from the number 15 spot to the number 1 spot. So that would be twice what we're trying to do. So if that's doable, then definitely what we're talking about is doable. So like I said, a lot of options, a lot of things to weigh. But the combine, I think, is going to play a huge factor what they're going to do. Eric, was there anything you wanted to add on this? Well, I have you here.
Oh, just whoever's available, bro. Like, I don't know if you seen CJ's presser with the media. He said that he's trying to make a good impression on Ziegler and McDaniels, and I wonder why. I mean, honestly, out of all those teams that are picking in the top 7, we have the best roster.
Right.
Honestly, the best roster. So I mean, what quarterback wouldn't want to walk into a great thing like that? Just like Mahomes, he walked into a great situation with Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. It'll be a repeat. He's walking
Right.
into a great situation. You're playing with Darren Waller, Vontae Adams, Hunter Renfro. Like most rookie quarterbacks dream of playing with that their rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, I'm all for it. Just whoever's available, bro. Whether it's CJ, whether it's AR, I honestly don't care. As long as we got a new face under center, and he's making plays and he's winning,
Mm-hmm.
I can't complain. I can't complain, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, here we go. Yeah. Thank you for the comment, hyperbolic radio. Yeah. That's the other thing. That's another thing that the guy could walk into. The top 3 report card from the Players Association. No, and it, like, honestly, like, not even a joke. Like, honestly, what goes into that, and in a way, the report cards are kind of unfair because you think about a state of the art facility, And
Mhm.
thing that they just built in Las Vegas, as opposed to stadiums that are getting kind of old now, they've been there for a while. They can't compare to what the Raiders have. So as far as like the locker room and the strength and conditioning facilities go, the Raiders are going to be number one, or you see they're going to be close to number one. They're going to be elite in that category. So because of that, um, you know, that is definitely, I think, a factor that a quarterback would want to weigh going into the draft. Like it's not everything, but it's definitely something that a quarterback might think to himself, oh, like this facility is really state of the art. Like if I'm serious about like working out, and that's a big, that regimen is a big part of my game day or off season prep. I'm really going to want the best of the best. And Allegiant Stadium or the Raiders practice facility, whatever it is, the Raiders have that. They have that available for any quarterback to walk into. So it's kind of a joke, but really when you think about it, it's not, because when you break it down, having a top tier report card, in my opinion, matters. It's just obviously the larger issue is, as with any team, ultimately, are you going to start winning football games? You can have the sexiest facilities ever, but if you're not winning football games, but the whole point is quality of facility in theory can lead to success, at some point. So thank you, Hyperbolic Raider, for the comment, because that is, I think that is a valid point. All jokes aside, Al's Ghost, you there? Did you come back, or you with us? Okay, I get Al's Ghost. You there? No. Okay.
Hey Jeff, sorry man, I gotta head out with an emergency. I'm sorry.
No problem, man. Hope it works out. Sorry to hear.
No, it's nothing. Just I gotta head
Okay.
out really quick.
All right,
All right.
man. All right, have a good night.
I'm,
Salute, man.
yeah.
Thanks for
Salute
joining.
everybody. See ya.
Peace. Okay, so with that, let's move into our next topic. So, obviously, our next topic basically is, it's, as far as the combine goes tomorrow, it's not all about the quarterback, right? It's the quarterback is obviously probably going to be the focal point for most teams, especially we're talking about top 3, 4, 5 guys to look at. But as I just said, quarterbacks need somebody to throw to, right? It's so, as much as the quarterbacks are going to be evaluated, you're also looking at the receivers and tight ends. So I know that we've talked about the potential of maybe letting a guy like Foster Moreau go and drafting the tight end, and especially because a lot of you guys have sort of lost patience with Darren Waller and his dedication to rap music over football, things of that nature. So because of that, a tight end maybe could be in play. I personally believe that from a positional standpoint, if we're talking about guys as in specific distinct categories, even within the wide receiver category, I felt like throughout this past year, what this team really lacked was a wide receiver too. In other words, a guy that really could not run exactly the same routes. What's up, Rudy? Salute. Thanks for joining.
Hey, what's up, Salute? Sorry.
All
Go
good,
ahead.
man.
Go ahead, man. Say everything. I'll tell you my situation later.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I was just wanted to start this topic off, asking around the panel what you guys think as far as are there any tight ends or receivers that you have your eyes on? Because I definitely think going out and getting a wide receiver too, some guy who could get you to like high 700 to 800 yard receiving season would be excellent, because as much as I love Matt Collins and I think his value transcends just a wide receiver position. He had a great year at receiver for him, but on the special teams,
he's a fourth or fifth receiver on our team. He shouldn't be a number 2.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like,
he could be a backup slot receiver.
Yeah,
you put him at 4 or 5.
Yeah, if you have Hunter Renfro, yeah, you do put him at 4 or 5.
Hunter Renfro's gonna be the 3.
That's what I'm saying. If Hunter Renfro's 3, you put him at 4 or 5. That's the logical thing you would do.
Yeah, Cortez, could you repost the links, by the way?
Oh yeah, let me roll this up.
Yeah,
I will.
So why don't we go around the panel? What do you guys think?
I'll start it off. With the what?
Just go around the panel, talk about what you guys think about receiver or tight end prospects. In the combine, what are you looking for?
I'm looking at the DBs. That's what I'm
Okay.
looking at.
Okay, what DBs you looking at?
DJ Turner, Julian Better, my corner from Kansas State, 6'4",
Okay.
monster. Who
I do
reminds
like
me
tall.
of Tariq Woolen
Yeah.
and freaking DJ Turner. We could get another DJ Turner on the team. Work perfect for us.
I did like Tyreek Woolen though. He was in my mock draft before.
There's another Tariq Woolen in this year's draft.
Another one? Same name?
They're
Nah,
just
bro.
taller versions of Namdi somewhat. That's how I look at it.
Oh,
You
word?
can't compare Namdi to them. You cannot
Well,
compare them.
Namdi's a pure man-to-man corner.
You cannot
what he was.
compare them to each other. Gonzalez is good too.
Christian, yes.
Christian's
Man's ran a 4.4.
What about freaking like I was just saying, DJ Turner
They
ran a
turned 4.27.
A different DJ Turner.
Yeah.
He's a hey man, and the other there's some safeties that I like too in this year's draft.
Yeah.
LJ Skinner, Brian Branch from Alabama, isn't it, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a stud.
You got it right.
Is he related to the Branch family? With
No.
No, he's not. No.
It doesn't.
No, he's not.
They're not related.
No, he's not now.
Hey, them edge rushers are turning into be like linebackers.
For real, bro. No, Nolan
some
Smith.
rushers are linebackers.
From Georgia. Woo!
Well,
Hey, bro, his stock is going up now with that. Just that.
Oh yeah, it's going up.
But the thing that we gotta watch out is from sideline to sideline how fast they could go.
you have to get decked. You get decked once, and then you're off. You know, they can offensive linemen can misdirect the edge rusher and give the quarterback an extra second to throw the ball.
Hey, my quarterback, the Raiders will be fine with Anthony Richard.
Yeah, well,
Best believe that.
Like I
Better
said,
than Carr.
No,
He'll
I
be
don't
better
think
than Carr. Yes.
that's talking too much.
Have you seen
Especially with an unimproved? I don't care about. Okay, it's not always.
I want
the
you to
players
go
that
watch
coach.
his college tape.
Don't mean nothing. You could look at the flaws of every quarterback, and then when they come to, there's been quarterbacks that were great.
He's
great
young, so you sit him for 1 year.
Yeah, you can do that, and like you do with
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, but the thing is, though, Josh McDaniels ain't Andy Reid. Andy Reid knows how to do his shit, and it does
What did
matter.
Josh McDaniels do on offense?
He's an OC. It's different when you're a coach than an OC. Coaches manage the whole team. Yes,
you don't know what the team went through. You're just a fan.
I'm just a fan. I'm more than just a fan. I analyze.
How are you
things.
just?
Okay,
you're just a fan. You don't know what the coaches are
Josh
doing.
McDaniels. What did Josh McDaniels do the last time he was with the Patriots? They became the 6th seed in the playoffs. We were
with
the
a
5th
rookie
seed.
quarterback, and he made the playoffs with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, in a weak division that was that they lost out. They always win the division out because they usually had weaker people, dude. Josh McDaniels is not a proven head coach. Okay, that's fact.
I want you
his
to
best
keep the
quarterback.
same energy.
His quarterback
Keep the
as
same
a
energy when he
coach
starts winning.
was T-Bone.
When he starts winning, keep the same energy.
It ain't gonna happen, dude. With Josh McDaniels having that, supposedly doing that, and beating out Patrick Mahomes will be the day I grow a full beard like you, which not gonna happen.
I don't have a full beard. It's barely coming back, so
you
I
got
don't
beard
get
more
how
than me. You got a little bit of a beard. It's coming through, buddy. You can shave it all up, and it comes right back.
Man, I don't know what kind of football you watch.
No, look it. I'm a diehard Raider fan, but at the same time, I don't.
No, you're a Derek Carr lover. That's what you are.
No, I'm a Derek Carr fan too. I'm a Tim Brown fan. I'm a Charles Woodson fan because those guys are my guys.
But nothing's above the Shield. Carr's not above the Shield.
You know who the Shield is? The Shield ain't the fucking owner and ain't the fucking coach.
The owner wants Hey, don't be surprised
the
if the
owner.
Raiders if they don't get a quarterback in this year's draft, and
They could
they're
possibly
giving
draft next
Josh
year.
McDaniels and Dave Ziegler a lengthy time. We don't know what their contracts are.
They could do whatever the fuck they want because Mark Davis is so fucking weak. Any owner would have fucking fired Josh McDaniels from when we lost to the Cardinals. That was all his fault. 100%.
How is it his fault if his side of the ball put up 20-something points?
And they were fucking winning they were shut down the Cardinals. When you have a shutdown, that you keep
defense.
that lead.
And actually,
and guess who's in charge of that defense too? Josh McDaniels. He's in
Patrick
charge
Graham
of all
is the
three.
defensive coordinator.
And that's his fault too.
Rudy.
That's his fault too.
Rudy, real quick, just to jump in on this conversation because you guys are having a really good debate. I actually agree with Rudy on this one. The head coach is ultimately the CEO of the company, right? And if you're the CEO of the company, the buck stops.
Let me ask you, who was the one that fired or got freaking Marcel Reese out of office?
I don't know who did that.
I know.
Oh, you say Mark Davis?
He left on his own.
He left, but Mark told him if not, because Ziegler, he did not like Josh McDaniels. I heard Ziegler.
Hey, I don't blame him.
Wanted him gone.
But this is where I stand on the whole argument, though, Cortez. If I'm the CEO of the coaching staff and I'm building out my roster of head coaches or coordinators,
but if you guys still hate or
just a
what
second.
happens if he starts winning? What are you guys going to change your attitude?
Cortez, let him finish.
Just a quick second here. So you have Josh McDaniels, who's the CEO of the coaching staff. He selected the defensive coordinators. I'm sure he has a say in the position coaches, et cetera, et cetera. Even if Patrick Graham is an incompetent defensive coordinator, which I think he's incompetent.
He had injuries on the defense.
But check this out. The Bucs stopped.
He did not have no injuries, Rudy, on defense.
Check
the
this
Ravens
out.
had serious injuries, and he still had a great fucking defense.
Check this out, though, Cortez. The buck stops with the CEO. So, for instance, let's say that you're working at a job.
Hey, your guys' favorite guy's on screen right now.
Yeah, he's a great player.
He's being a troll.
He's a crybaby.
Guess what, Cortez? He actually has basically all of our franchise records. So
I'm happy he's gone.
And I'm sure you'll be happy when he's in the playoff team next year too.
Yeah. You know what? Like I said, when Tim Brown wasn't with us, he was still my player. When Charles Woodson
follow him then. Go get his jersey if he's your favorite, one of your favorite players. Go get his jersey.
I'm making the point, Cortez. It doesn't matter what you think or anything. It's what a fan thinks deep inside. And let me tell you something. He's been on this team for a long time. And a lot of this shit that went on, it's been the organization's fault. I don't care what you say. You can say this and that. He kept the team moving. Guys that were sucked were guys like Jamarcus Russell or even what's his name?
What did he do for the team? He made the playoffs once that he could play.
He's just a quarterback.
What did he do?
Defense, offensive, special teams, just an offensive piece. He can't win games by himself. Career,
as a Raider, it was his loss. Let's move on.
No, it wasn't. It was Josh McDaniels. 5 of those games were all him because he was sandbagging. Even Dustin will tell you that they were supposed to do a fucking outside run, and Derek Carr disobeyed Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels wants a quarterback that will fucking do 100% what he says. And Derek Carr disagreed with all his plays. And look, Derek Carr is very workable. He's a very workable quarterback. And if someone like Josh McDaniels can't work with Derek Carr, there's something wrong with him.
Do you want to know?
There's a lot of teams. There's lots of teams that want Derek Carr.
His way.
Why do a lot of teams want Derek Carr? They know what kind of person he is. They know what kind of player. Players that audible and stuff because they see something that's not right. And there's times that Derek Carr didn't audible because he was doing what Josh McDaniels said, and then they messed up because he got either sacked or he threw an interception or something. but when he did audibles, he did better.
Hey, there's one thing that
86-yard
all
run,
of us
Derek
could
Carr
agree
because of
on.
Josh Jacobs.
All of us could agree on Carr. What does he do when he gets under pressure and nobody's open?
Every
Throws it
quarterback,
into the
he
ground.
does good on pressure.
Guys, let's just
You can't just
Let's
go
move
by
on to
that.
the next one.
Let's move on. Okay, so like I said, the topic that I wanted us to focus on is the wide receiver and tight end prospects that could be at the combine tomorrow that we're interested in, or some prospects in general that we're interested in, things we're looking for out of a wide receiver in general that might impress us, things of that nature. If you want to go around the panel and talk about that, Rudy, was there anything you wanted to add to this?
Okay, I'll say about the wide receiver and tight end, and I'm not going to think about me. I think got to think like Josh McDaniels. He's not going to go for the high tier player. He's going to look for a player that's going to fit his system, because they're not looking for deep threat wide receivers, but they're going to look for a receiver that's a little more consistent. He's not going to be a deep threat. So, that's what he's going to look for, a wide receiver. The tight end, in my opinion, he's going to look for a more blocking than a receiving type tight end. Because with the Patriots, they always had blocking tight ends. All their tight ends were all pure blockers. They blocked for running plays and screen passes. And that's what the Patriot way is. They threw a lot of screen passes. They do a lot of running, but they utilize 4 running backs, and I'm thinking he's probably thinking having a different tight end setup, he'll have a better way of running the ball better with the tight end.
Hey, just to go into the tight ends, this is off topic, Jeff. Guess who's getting married? There's 2 players tomorrow.
Let me guess.
There won't be no Mrs. Plum anymore. It's gonna be Mrs.
Oh, they are getting married.
And somebody else is getting married tomorrow too.
Jared Stidham.
No.
He is?
No. Mad Max is. They both did theirs.
Well, he was already engaged.
Yeah, tomorrow, both of them.
He was already engaged. I know that.
They just did their marriage license this week. Both of them did it on Monday. Illuminor's getting married. On Tuesday, he did his.
Yeah. Oh. Mad Max, though, I consider him already married already, even though legally he wasn't. Now he is.
And guess what? Derek Carr's the best man for all the weddings. I'm joking.
Oh, who cares? I don't. Hey, Al's Ghost, you know why I don't like Carr either.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure why. Yeah, I'm actually not sure why.
Jeff knows.
I don't want to go down this morning. I want to go. I don't want to.
Yeah, I understand.
Let's move on.
Like I said,
I'm about to dip out anyways in a minute.
Yeah, like I said, once a Raider, always a Raider. I don't give a shit what anybody else thinks. Yeah.
Here, let's
no players above the shield. I'll say that.
Yeah, there's no player. That's why I don't have Carr above the shield. The shield is the first thing. If the shield wasn't around, I give that. The shield is the former top training staff. That's all I'm gonna say. The face of the Raiders, what you're wearing, Rudy, that's the face of the former training staff person.
And you know what? As a Raider fan, I have the fucking right to criticize my own team. I got every
criticize
fucking right.
Mark Davis. Mark Davis.
I've criticized my team. I criticized Al Davis. You think that I just kissed his ass and everything? No, I criticize him. Al Davis was one of the most controversial owners, but he was the most respected owner. Now, Mark Davis ain't got that. He ain't going to be like his daddy. He'll never be like that. That's just the way it is. Al Davis did a lot of good, and he did a lot of bad too. But, but to the respect he brought in, just win baby and everything. And it doesn't seem like it's going with that way, I mean, he wasn't the original Raider owner, but, he was responsible.
What was the Raiders' name before the Raiders, Rudy?
They were the Raiders. It was before that was before the AFL and the NFL.
The Senors.
Yep, Senor.
Yours.
See, I don't even go that far. I just
don't even know that.
Shit, and I have even met a former Super Bowl champion, the first Super Bowl with the Raiders.
We went to the before any of us were born when they went
the
to
Discord. That's the picture with Rick Jennings, Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, like I said, when the NFL and the AFL merged together, we went to our first Super Bowl in the second Super Bowl against Green Bay and lost. The Chiefs were in the first one with the Green Bay Packers and lost as well. You know, that's how old with the NFL. But the AFL days, they're just to me, it's like it's history, but it's like it's not where we're at right now. I mean, it's history though, but back then they used leather helmets and paddings and everything. They didn't have those hard helmets.
And they had the goalposts in front of the end zone.
Yeah, that's how players got hurt probably a lot easier too.
For sure.
Yeah. You imagine though if the NFL played rugby rules. Imagine that. More people would get hurt.
That would be something for sure. That would be
probably see a lot of blood and vomit coming out everywhere. It would be a really gory game,
Yes, it would. So why don't we segue into another topic? So going away from the draft and all the process, because draft prospects matter for sure, and building your team through the draft is definitely very important. But why don't we just sort of segue into another aspect of the offseason, which is free agency. I mean, obviously, as we've said, if Josh Jacobs is going to stay with this team, for example, we'll probably like to see what this team does, not only through the draft, but through free agency. So why don't we just go around the panel, talk about in general any kind of free agents that you guys.
Hey, I've been saying this, Jeff. Levante David, linebacker.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great.
Hey, bro, they've been talking about a lot about him.
Yeah.
Well, if he's cheap and all that, they'll take him. If he's expensive,
you got to build your defense. You can't buy cheap.
No, they'll build it. They'll build it with a guy that's cheaper and has familiarity with Patrick Graham's
with cheap players, Rudy.
But that's what the Patriots did.
Out.
That's what the Patriots did. They're the tightest people on money.
Some of these players may not come here. You know why?
Yeah, because they don't like. We're not attractive anymore. We're not. We were more attractive from the beginning, but then as soon as we were losing, it's like nobody wanted to. We were nobody wanted to come to us. We just look like we're the loser team, But we are in the most difficult division in the NFL, and when you start all over,
how was it
becomes extremely more
hardest division?
How was it the hardest? You got the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Donkeys weren't all that.
Team. I didn't say the Donkeys, did I?
You said our division. They count in our division.
Yeah, the Broncos though they actually beat some teams, but whenever we played them, we beat them. But we had a donkey slayer, and his name was Derek Carr. That was the donkey slayer.
I mean,
whether you like it or not, he was the number one reason why we won. The Chargers too. We beat the Chargers because Derek Carr. You think we're going to beat them with Jared Stidham?
It's not just Carr. It's the whole team that wins, not just one player.
He's the main contributor to it, though. He's the number one contributor,
And
number one contributor with a fucking suck-ass defense.
3 picks his last half.
And they still fucking won with him, too. Like I said, Derek Carr can make mistakes, but then he can reboot. That's one thing about him. But sometimes, though, when you put him in a bad situation, he will make mistakes. That's any quarterback. It doesn't. I don't give a shit. Look at Aaron Rodgers. He threw some fucking interceptions. Everybody was on his dick for a while, and and then all of a sudden they aren't.
So
it happens.
Rudy actually, and Cortez and Jeff. I actually think. I've been mentioning this a few times on a few different lives. I think next season could get pretty spooky for us in the following way. Obviously, you have the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, the best team in football. You have the Chargers, who are the chokers, but they made the playoffs.
Yeah. But they're not. Hey, let's say this: their offense coordinator's trash. He couldn't do nothing in Dallas.
And then Cortez, we have the Donkeys, who have obviously.
I don't care about Sean Payton. I'm just gonna say it like this: Sean Payton was made by Drew Brees.
Sean Payton is an excellent head coach. He's a very excellent
head coach.
I don't think he could turn that offense around.
If
Oh, I
anyone
think he
can, it's
could.
probably him. If anyone can, it's probably him.
Yeah.
Nah,
He's a better head coach than Josh McDaniels for sure, 100%.
blame all. Do what you want. I still
He won
believe
a
in.
Super Bowl as a head coach. He didn't win. He wasn't like a, he's been a part of Bill Parcells' system, and
I
that Bill
don't
Parcells
care. I
system,
told you I
it's
don't
all in the
care for the
same
dude. Like
similar
he can do
family.
what he wants. I
And
don't think he's a great head coach because of
he
Drew
is a great
Brees.
head coach. He took the Saints to the playoffs multiple times. Won
Who was quarterback? Drew
Super
Brees.
Bowl.
Drew Brees.
Yeah, of course. You got to have your quarterback. It's hard to build up a
Drew
quarterback. It's
Brees
not
brought
easy.
his name.
So Cortez, is Bill Walsh not a great head coach because he had Joe Montana?
He's a great head coach. He was the architect of the West Coast offense. And because of guys like Andy Reid.
Hey, let me just say this: both
Mike
of you
Holmgren,
need to go watch
Gruden.
Anthony Richardson's tape, and you guys come tell me back on Monday what it's all about.
Like I said, upside don't mean shit until they come to the NFL and they convert. Because you got to be disciplined. You got to read defenses. You got to read all that. You have to learn everything in the NFL. When you go to the NFL, you have to unlearn that college bullshit.
That's why you sit him for 1 year, because he's only 20 years old. You sit him.
Well, that's a smart thing. But the thing is, though, it's always the right head coach. Right head coach.
Josh McDaniels is the right coach for him.
He fucking sucks, dude. Tim Tebow was his failure.
Tim Tebow made the playoffs. Are you that?
They went to playoffs because they had players around them that were already built. That's a Mike Shanahan system he took over. But he didn't completely rebuild it. He starts it and then they fell apart.
And guess who was in their scouting department when Josh McDaniels left? Who was still there?
It don't matter. Because you know what? You know who wanted him out? You know who wanted Josh McDaniels out? You know who wanted him out?
Who?
Yeah, John Elway. He said, "Get this motherfucker out," and he was gone. Just like that.
So
because he said,
what does that mean? Josh McDaniels. Every coach deserves a second chance in the NFL. Bill Belichick got a second chance.
Fuck Bill Belichick. I hate that motherfucker.
He's a proven winner.
He's a proven fucking cheater. He's cheated for over 20 fucking years.
If you don't cheat, then you're not doing it right.
He's done it 4 times. Cheated constantly 4 times.
Don't you hear that saying? If you don't get caught cheating, then you're doing something right.
So you believe? Do you believe in taking shortcuts?
Wrap it up, or I'm gonna have to meet you guys. Like, I'm just saying, like, you guys are at each other. It's not. No offense, but it's not productive to the.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I agree.
I will say this, Al's Ghost, to your point. In general, I mean, as far as the Chiefs probably still have dominion over the division, and with the Broncos they're probably going to get a lot better, given that Sean Payton is now coming in, knows how to win at least in the regular season on a consistent basis. Given that there's an extra playoff seed now, realistically, as much as it sucks to say, because obviously every year the goal is to win the division, you're looking at a wild card spot. One of those 5, 6, 7 seeds, 5, 6, 7.
Hey, the crazy thing, Jeff, would be if all 4 of us made it.
Yeah. I mean, and
that would be a billionaire.
Yeah, I mean that's what was under consideration. That's what a lot of people were talking about going into this past year, and then that turned out to be a shame.
But the thing is, like, our quarterback cannot fit the system.
Well, yeah, and this is the problem. Like, I mean, whatever you want to say about Carr, what do you think he really was meant to be the guy, continuing or not? Obviously, Josh McDaniels did not get along with him. They had a lot of disagreements. I don't think they really liked each other. So but as far as that goes, it is what it is. It's not, it's just a thing of the past now. It's in a rearview mirror. But what I will say is that, I mean, this year is going to be a big one for Josh McDaniels if he does go out and get a quarterback, because if he does, then we're really, really looking at him to see how much throughout the season.
How long are you going to be on for?
How long?
Yeah.
Probably another hour or so.
All right, I'll be back. I gotta go.
Okay. All right. Peace out, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would just say, if he is going to draft a quarterback this year, you want to at least see the development throughout the season. I mean, obviously, first few games, if he's going to be the starter, whoever that rookie is, you can't expect him to set the world on fire. He's going to make those rookie mistakes. He's probably going to lose games. He's probably not going to look too sharp. But what you do want to see and what you are looking for is over time, is he going to be able to figure it out? I think a good example of that last year was Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, overall, his stats were not great. But when you really look into his stats, a lot of the bad performances came in his first several starts, and then in the second half of his campaign, really, that's when he started to figure it out. At least to the point where he became, a serviceable game manager kind of a guy. He was able to help win football games. Obviously against us, he led that game-winning drive. He had what I thought was a brilliant game-winning touchdown pass at the end of the season against the Ravens. I believe it was. So with all that in mind, you just want to see the learning curve, right? You want to see the room for improvement. You want to see the improvement actually happening. So if that's the case, if they do go with a quarterback this year who's not a bridge quarterback, then that's, I think, one of the big things we should look for throughout this upcoming season. If they don't decide to do that, if it's more a matter of, like I said, being committed to a bridge quarterback for at least this year, pursuing a veteran free agent quarterback and just going with that as it is, then, like I said, I don't think the playoffs are going to be realistic. I mean, the free agent market right now for quarterbacks is not looking great. I mean, maybe Stidham will mature into the quarterback that we saw against the 49ers, and he can really lead this team in a successful manner in terms of wins and losses. But yeah, I mean, once again, to your point, Hell's Ghost, yeah, I mean, it could get very spooky in the sense that, there could be the competition is probably going to get a lot more cutthroat within this division. But sooner or later, I think if consistently you can at least become a wild card team, given, how dominant the Chiefs are and how good they are at winning consistently, at least for the first 2 to 3 years, I don't see anything wrong with that. At least you're in the mix, you're in the tournament. You could win a playoff game on the road if you, play your cards right and play good football when it matters most. So we're going to be looking at all those. But yeah, in general, hopefully it doesn't turn too spooky, at least before Halloween. Let's see. So Rudy, I never got to ask you, as far as the topic goes of like free agents, was there any free agents in mind that you'd like to see this team sign or pursue?
To be honest with you, to be honest with you, it's really hard to want to sign free agents when you're on a rebuild mode. And I'm thinking that it doesn't matter who they get. They're not going to pick someone who's pricey. They're going to, this is what I'm starting to think. I'm like listening to Dustin, and I'm also thinking about what he said and the Patriot way, and Josh McDaniels is going the Patriot way, but he's going to do it his Patriot way.
Right.
And he's going to go cheap. He's going to go for the cheap, but he's going to go with a guy that's has familiarity with Patrick Graham's system on defense. And then on offense, he might get an offensive lineman maybe, but it'll be dirt cheap. It's not going to be expensive. They're going to do it. That's the Patriot way. And it seems like the Raiders are going the Patriot way. I mean, it doesn't, I'm not here to say what I think about it. I'm just thinking that's the way it is. We're going to go the Patriot way, the cheap way,
Hey, let me chime in. So with the players that are familiar with them,
yes, it's familiarity. He wants familiarity.
It doesn't matter. If you heard his interview, he wants players that have dog in them to go after the ball or get close to the ball.
That's the one thing I look for.
That's funny when you say dog because you got rid of some guys that are dogs. You don't be surprised if we get rid of guys that we like Malcolm Coots. He could be gone or traded or something just to get guys that he wants. And it's about what Josh McDaniels
his
wants.
Player. He does not have no attachments to him.
Okay, look it. When you have an unproven head coach, and I'm not going that's the only thing I disagree when you have an unproven head coach. But if he was a proven head coach, yeah, that's understandable. But he's not a proven head coach. He's never been a winner as a head coach.
This is
He's
his
been a winner as an OC.
second time being a head
Guys,
coach.
we've already had.
Okay. I'm going to stick to the free agents.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's going to go for a guy that's going to fit his system. Regardless,
Right.
he's not going to spend big money for a free agent. They're
Okay.
going to not do a lot of spend. They probably won't take very many free agents. They might get maybe 2 or 3 guys, maybe. I'm thinking that's probably what they'll do. This is a rebuild mode. So they're going to go with somebody on defense, a little bit someone on offense. And they're going to do is with their draft picks, they're going to use these guys who aren't great players, but they're going to mentor the younger players. That's what the Patriots do. That's their system. That's the Patriot way. And that's what Josh McDaniels is going to do. He's going to do it that way. Regardless of what I think or anything, I believe that's just what he's going to do. I'm not thinking about what I think he should do. I'm thinking what he's likely going to do. And I could be wrong. Maybe he goes somewhere else. I don't think he's going to spend a lot of money, though. I seriously don't believe it's going to happen. It's going to just be very cheap free agents, very cheap. He's not going to go for the biggest free agent. He's going to go in the midway of free agents, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me say this: the free agency is not supposed to be where you go get players for. Dave Ziegler does not really want to get free agent players. He wants
Well, that's
to
why they're gonna get
re-sign
2 or
his
3.
own talent.
Yeah, they're going to get 2 or 3. That's about it. Not very much.
Okay, so you guys are predicting that they'll pretty much build
No,
predominantly through the draft.
eventually he wants it to just be a couple players and that's it.
Well,
From free
yeah,
agency.
I'm actually agreeing you there, dude.
That's what
Wow.
he
You two are
really
agreeing on
wants.
something? That's crazy.
That's
And-
really
I mean, I don't
what he
like it, but
wants, to
I
be
know that's
honest.
what they're going to do, though. You know,
They want to
I'm
get
not-
home talent. They want to keep their home talent around.
So who are the 2 to 3 guys that you think they're likely?
It's
to
not going to happen this year. And to be honest,
Okay.
we're not in a rebuild.
It's
We're
a
not.
rebuild, dude. No quarterback, rebuild.
If you spend a lot of money on free agency and you get your defense right, you just need a top defense, to be honest. Because you got
Top
a running
defense
back,
ain't
you
going to
got
win
a
games
tight end,
against
you got a
Patty.
receiver.
You got to have more than a top defense to beat Patty Mahomes and them. You got to have more than that. Because if you're just a defense with a decent offense, you ain't going to beat them.
Well,
That's what they did. The
He
49ers, they slaughter them like
had
they were
a
nothing.
top offense last year, top O line, top 10 O line, and then
Yeah, but the Chiefs have always beaten top teams. They beat Steelers and the 49ers. They beat them like they were nothing. Because defense is not enough. You got to have a good offense too. You got to be a little more
that's
balanced.
what I'm saying. He had a good offense.
Because here's a guy that's kind of like now the only best weapon left on the Raiders offense is Josh Jacobs. I know that you could say
Over
Devontae Adams, but that dictates with the quarterback that's going to be the
Devontae
guy.
Adams is
You need a
the
good quarterback for
franchise
him.
of the Raiders. He's the
He's
new
just
franchise of
he's
the
not
Raiders.
a franchise. He's not a franchise.
Yep.
He never was drafted from us.
But he's the new
Okay.
franchise of the Raiders.
Well,
The franchise of ours is Josh Jacobs because he was from the Raiders. He was
But
made into the Raiders, but he could be
a
franchise
lot
tag
of
and
players
traded.
switch to different teams and then they become
No, when you're a franchise, you
team.
start out from that. Devontae Adams is a veteran player. He's a proven commodity. He's not our franchise player. He's our great player, but he's not our franchise player. Derek Carr was our franchise player.
No.
Now we got him. Lost him. Yes,
he
he
used
was.
to be, but he's no longer
Well,
here.
what you just said the same thing I just said, dude. You just said the same thing. I said he was our franchise player, and you just said the same thing I said already. You know.
I think you need some of this, Rudy.
No.
all right.
I don't smoke.
All right. Okay. So basically, what you guys are saying is that, you know, the McZieg, if you will, the McDaniel Ziegler regime, they want their own guys. They want to establish their own identity
And draft their
they're
players.
They're going to draft. Okay. So they're going to, which is interesting because to me, you know, the Belichick identity or his legacy is really being able to have that eye for talent to the point where you can just sort of recycle guys.
Ziegler did a good job in his half of scouting players that he knew about.
So check this out, though, Cortez, and so I agree. Obviously, McDaniels and the rest of the coaching staff, they need their ingredients right. They want to
Right.
pick and choose their players who
Right.
they fit their system and their scheme.
But the thing, and let me
check this
say
out, Cortez. Check this out, Cortez.
I got something.
Just a second, Doug. Just a second.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Just a second.
Let him cook.
The question is Mark Davis going to be patient enough to allow the coaching staff to develop these players? Because as I mentioned in some previous lives, hopefully this doesn't happen. I'm a diehard Raider fan, former season ticket holder in Oakland for several years. Fucking McDaniel starts off 0-4, 0-5. Is Mark Davis then feeling the fire and feeling the burn to go ahead and start cutting people?
Are you ready for me?
Go for it.
So
like firing guys like around.
So
him
I don't. Mark seen after the season. Mark seen what happened. He's giving them time. Like we don't know how much they're getting, how long really their contracts. And if they're getting progress each year, Davis will not fire them.
Well, I agree, but my question is, fucking McDaniel starts off next fall 0-4, 0-5, which God forbid I don't want that to happen. Is Mark Davis at that point feeling the pressure?
No, because he's given him time to groom his own quarterback. And going back to like players that Josh wants, he can't demand them players.
So,
Ziegler has the final say if he wants them or not. It's up to
Cortez. Question for you.
What?
Let's say McDaniel starts off 0-5. Are you being patient with him?
Yep.
How about you, Rudy?
Hell no.
You got to give them
How about you, Jeff?
This be their full season.
I mean, short answer to your question is no. I will say that I'm already very impatient, but I will say that, as I've said before, as far as our expectations should go, the way a lot of these things work is, especially when you think about the fact that McDaniels was signed to a 4-year contract, he's probably going to get at least 2 years, just because Mark Davis probably doesn't feel like, firing a guy after 1.25 season. I mean, I don't think it's a money issue. I think Mark was lying about that, or it's not Mark, but the guy from Around the Horn, Bill Plash.
Hey, he really likes Josh McDaniels as his head coach.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and honestly, I personally think that as much as I hate to say it, there are things outside the lines, if you will, outside of just wins and losses, that he likes about McDaniels. I read something that, like, he when that quote came out about Rome wasn't built in a day and all that nonsense.
It's not built in a day, so you got to give the person time to build.
That's true. So
you get rid of a quarterback that did not fit your system. Got rid of him. You get a new quarterback that could be steady. Bring him in, be the quarterback for a couple years until our rookie or the person that we really like is ready to go. So when that happens, and Josh McDaniel says he wants a quarterback for a long time. So that means eventually they're going to build this team up to be a championship team and have a run like New England did.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the quarterback position goes, if McDaniels isn't secure in that, and obviously he wasn't with Carr, whether you agree with that or not, I definitely understand why he wanted to tank, and there were a lot of points this year where it really did seem like he was losing on purpose, and it wasn't just him; it was Patrick Graham. It was the scheme. There were so many things that were screamingly obvious as far as they're not putting their best.
Let me ask all of you guys.
What?
Let me ask all of you guys this. So, like, if we get this rookie quarterback, and he just starts winning out, then what are you guys gonna still have the same energy? I'll
have that long beard that you got. I'll have a long beard like you or something.
Well, hey, I want to see it. I'll answer that question.
Okay.
Hey,
Would
Cortez.
you guys still be hating him if?
How about Osama bin Laden?
I'll let
I'll
Els
answer
go.
that question
Let
real
Els
quick.
go talk, and then I'll say
Yeah,
something.
no, I'll answer that real quick. No, I just mentioned nothing is above the shield. I want my team to win. Do I believe in Josh McDaniels? I've mentioned no, I'm not a believer in Josh McDaniels. I think his record as a head coach is 17-28.
I'm
I
gonna
think
make
that's a
T-shirts
losing
that
head
say I
coach.
believe in Josh McDaniels.
So I don't believe in Josh McDaniels, right? But do I want him to succeed? Absolutely. And if he succeeds and he proves me wrong and he's winning championships and we're a perennial playoff contender, I'm all for it. Like, I want my team to win. Just like when I mentioned when Derek Carr got benched and he's no longer on the team, I want whoever else steps up under center and becomes our
Hey.
quarterback to succeed.
So I'm just gonna say this: if we get AR-15, best believe I'm gonna get a Anthony Richardson jersey.
Well, be ready to have that jersey be on sale in like a year or so, Cortez, because it'll go on sale, dog.
Nah, bro. Hey, watch his tape, Owls Ghost.
No, he's impressive, but I don't think that kind of play translates to the NFL.
Yeah.
He's young. He's only 20 years
But
old.
you got to prove it in the NFL, though. You got to prove
He's
it. He's
very young, so you sit him for 1 or 2 years.
So you want to waste the first round
and
pick
you
by
still-
sitting the guy? We don't have that
You still
luxury.
be getting the best defensive player there, or whatever's missing, to keep the run going, because they're gonna go on a run eventually, like New England
I don't
had
know.
a run.
Hopefully. I want to be a dynasty. I want to go back to the Raiders of the 70s and 80s when Jeff's uncle, your uncle, right? Phil Villano, right, Jeff? Like when
It
your
may
uncle was
take
on the
a
team.
minute. We just got to give them time to build it up how they want to build it.
But the question, Cortez, are the powers that be going to be patient enough to allow these guys to build? That's
You don't
one
fire
question.
Dave Ziegler. You do not fire him.
That's one question. And then the second question is the fan base going to be patient? And I don't think the fan base is going to be patient. We've been patient for 2 decades.
Right.
We've been patient for.
And they're not happy with Coach McDaniel.
You were like it, dude. You were born in like 95, right?
94.
94. So you were 7 years old. Like the last time that we were in the last time we won a playoff game, you were 7 years old.
I was 15 years old then.
I was 6 years old.
Yeah, so
Jeff was 6 years old.
Dude,
Dude, I was 12.
So Jeff, you're like 24?
No, I'm going to be 28 this year. I was 95.
Oh,
so I'm 33. I'm 33.
Right there, bro. That was
I'm 43. I'm the old dog here.
Okay, there we go. We got.
And I got another old dog next to me that's like
well spaced out.
18.
I thought Rudy was 18. Shit.
No, she is.
This some fire owls
I'm old as hell though. I'm 43 years old. Gonna be 44.
What'd you say, Cortez?
Man, the stuff that I got is fire.
What is it? Alien Labs or what? What is that shit? Oh.
Whatever it is, it must be great because he has all this faith in Josh McDaniels, so it must be the good stuff for sure.
Oh, actually, Derek Carr owns that company. Cortez, not sure if you knew that.
You gotta stop smoking it now. No, you gotta stop smoking it.
Fuck shit.
No, you're not allowed. No,
God.
you're not taking another puff. So hope you got enough. But yeah, I mean, to your point, Al's Ghost. Yeah, I mean, you know, as far as like the same energy goes, like, yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, if the team gets off to a great start, that's great, and we wish him the best. Like, he's the coach of our team, we want him to succeed, but we're not faithful to this up to this point. The one thing I also mentioned is that Josh McDaniels did start out 6-0 his first year with the Broncos, so even if we get like we're 5-0, 6-0 or whatever. Some Raiders fans might be tempted to say, "Oh, he had this great start, so that's enough to keep him for another year." Well, you know, I mean, if there is a collapse at the end of the year, or in the second half of the year, I mean, that's
hey, if nothing works, don't be surprised if the offensive coordinator or defense coordinator get fired.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be scapegoats.
Hey, and remember this: we just got Scott Turner. North Turner's son.
Right.
and he may help the offense more better than what we lacked last year with him as a former offense coordinator working.
Or Cortez, or what could happen is you have too many cooks in the kitchen,
Nah.
which is another concern that I have. So adding more coaches doesn't necessarily mean better,
Yeah.
which dovetails into the point that I've been making for several months now. Just because Josh McDaniels' offense is super complicated doesn't make it better. So, for instance,
True.
by analogy, if I give Jeff a recipe with ingredients and 150 steps to make that recipe, does that make the outcome of the dish automatically good? No. Sometimes the simplest dishes are sometimes the best ones.
Yeah.
Get a good
Yep.
piece of steak, salt and pepper, throw that shit on the grill, and you're
Yep.
ready to go.
Yep. Yeah,
So
that's
more
true.
complicated does not mean better.
Right.
Yeah. Same thing with Paul Gunther. His defensive system was too complicated. It didn't work,
Right.
Exactly. And adding more coaches doesn't necessarily mean, okay, like things are going to get better.
Yeah.
For me, it actually signifies like, whoa, we haven't really figured shit out yet. Let's keep on trying things, trial and error. Hopefully I'm wrong. Again, I don't believe in the coaching staff, but I'm hopeful that they succeed.
Yeah. I don't have I mean, look, at first I started with Josh McDaniels because they got Devontae Adams and some players around them. I thought that we were going to turn this team around because the way he was putting things up, it looked like we were looking forward to going to the playoffs, to beat, to try to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs. But it looked like that. We all thought that. I'm sure we all did.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, it didn't go how we all wanted it. And it didn't go how Josh McDaniels wanted it. And then Josh McDaniels said to himself, you know what? Fuck it. We're not going to be a playoff team. We're going to start all over.
Right.
It's like you can't accept failure and do better. So what you do, instead of fixing things on the board, you wipe it all out. That's what Josh McDaniels wants to do. Wipe everything out and start all over again. And I don't like that. Most Raider fans don't like that either. We don't want to rebuild again and again. But that's what's going to happen. When you have no quarterback, it's a rebuild. It doesn't matter if you have Devontae Adams or Josh Jacobs. But it's a rebuild because the quarterback is the main offensive player. He's 60% of the offense, and when you lose that player and you replace him with another player, it's going to be completely different. And then, Jared Stidham. Here's another thing people don't realize: he had spine surgery. He's very brittle. He's a lot. He had spine surgery when he was with the Patriots, so he gets taken out. Then you got to put that kid in. You sit him for a bench, or you put the third string guy in instead if you want to do it that way. But that's something I don't trust Jared Stidham. I have no faith in him.
And actually, to that point, Rudy, not to make this a Derek Carr, conversation, but I think.
Hey! Let me just say this with Stidham.
Let me just respond real quick, with this. Derek Carr was durable during his 9-year stint with the Raiders. I think he ended up missing 2 games in 9 years, which is very impressive. And I hope that whoever takes on the quarterback position next is a durable quarterback. To Rudy's point, the best ability is availability, right?
Right.
And we learned that the hard way this year when we had Hunter Renfrow out for several games, Darren Waller out for several games, a bunch of guys in the defense out for several games. We had pretty good players on paper, but paper doesn't win football games.
Right.
Richard.
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say is that what I'm afraid of, or what I'm already wary of right now, is I just don't want to. I want to continue to be in this position where we're McDaniels is kind of like the girl who's hard to get, right? Like there's all these promises. It seems like the can is being kicked down the road, but we're being promised all these things about potentially or next year things will be better, or we're building for a better future. And I mean, this year alone, I can sort of see it. it's like I said. I mean, if you're not secure about your quarterback, I will say, if you're a new coach, you're coming in, you're not secure about your quarterback. Whether you agree with that or not as a fan, because I know the Derek Carr thing is very hotly debated even now. Then you might as well tank. I was actually just talking to my brother, who you guys know, he's also a big Giants fan, and Brian Dable, right? Like coach of the year for sure, had a great year. This year alone was great. Giants fans had a lot of fun. They surprised a lot of people. They shocked me. I didn't think they were going to be that good, but the problem is that unless you're going to win the Super Bowl, you have this great miracle year where you make the run all the way to the Super Bowl and you win it. If you're not going to do that, then you have to worry about the future, right? And the Giants, to me, have put themselves in a very bad position in a lot of ways because, for example, Daniel Jones, who, frankly, I mean, he had some good moments. He definitely played his best year of his career for sure, and that's credit to Dable for sure. But only 15 touchdowns. And now, because of the great season that they had this year, he wants $45 million. That puts the Giants in a really bad bind. I think they're drafting. They're in the mid-20s right now in the first round. If they're going to move on from Daniel Jones to get a quarterback, they're going to have to trade up a lot. And to me, in retrospect, you look back on it and you say, well, had Brian Dable just tanked, right? The Giants had an awful season. First of all, his job was secure within the first year. Pretty much every head coach is not going to get fired within the first year because, it's part of, getting used to the team and trying to figure out who you want to keep, who you don't, right? That's why you give a coach at least a year. So for those reasons, I hate to say it, and a lot of fans don't want to admit it, there is a lot of benefit to tanking, and that's why tanking does happen, especially in that first year for first year new look head coach. And so I would say that as much as this past season sucked for the Raiders and for us as fans of the team, there is merit to if you don't like the quarterback that you inherited, put yourself in a position to draft one, right? To draft one that you think could really play the way you want to play, to play the brand of football you want to play in the way you want to play it. And that does make sense. But I will say, however, as I've already said, how long is this process going to take? Like, how much losing is this going to entail before we either admit that Josh McDaniels isn't up to par, or this is just like a multi-year plan where he's just trying to cover his ass because he doesn't know what he's doing, or there is gold at the end of the rainbow, at the other side of the rainbow, but it's going to take several years. So because realistically, as we talked about before, there's been it seems like this could very well be a double tank, right? Like a two-year period in which they weren't exactly high enough to get C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, and so they have their eyes set on Caleb Williams now. So they're going to be horrible this year, putting themselves in a position, to draft Caleb Williams or somebody like that. So I guess that's a very long-winded way of me saying, that's. It'll be tough to see, but there is merit to tanking in general. But at what point do we just say, okay, McDaniels is playing hard to get, right? He's like that girl is playing hard to get. And if you're not going to deliver, then there's no point in continuing this relationship. So this year, we don't know. And as I said before, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. But if he's guaranteed Mark Davis, or Mark Davis has guaranteed him that, even if you suck again year two, your job's still safe, then maybe Josh McDaniels will go ahead and lose again, have another losing season. So it's something that
Jeff,
yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for you and for the rest of the panel, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, just to sort of nip this in the bud, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most, 1 being the least, what's for all you guys, what's your respective confidence level in McDaniels? And then separately, what's your confidence level in Ziegler? Go ahead, Jeff.
Scale 1 to 10, 10 being the highest.
Right. So two separate two separate grades, one for McDaniels, one for Ziegler.
Right. For McDaniels, I'm going to go somewhere between 3 and 4, with 10 being the highest, of course. So, let's say like 3.5 maybe. I'm not seeing it. I don't think there's needs to overcomplicate it at this point. And like I said, there could be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Up until this point, I haven't seen it. I don't think he's a good coach. He could prove me wrong, but we'll have to see. Ziegler, this is it's probably gonna be controversial, but I haven't seen enough. The thing about GMs a lot of times is, they do what the head coach say, because if a coach says I want this guy, or I think this guy could really be part of my system, like go out and get this guy, then other than figuring out the details of it, like a trade or trading up in the draft, wherever.
But it's up to the GM if he wants that, though, Jeff.
Yeah, I get it. Like, the GM is the boss, but like at the same time, bosses still have to have faith in their employees to some extent. Now, if it gets to the point where your employee, which technically speaking, Josh McDaniels is Dave Ziegler's employee, he's not cutting it, then a responsible boss would fire him, right? Or force him to make some kind of a major change so that things do end up getting better. But as far as Ziegler goes, I don't know. I take him or leave him at this point for me. So I guess I'm going to say a 5. Because on the one hand, it went out and got a lot of good pieces to the point where this was a playoff caliber team. It wasn't. Josh McDaniels didn't want it to be that, and it wasn't that, but it could have been. And so that, I think, Ziegler deserves credit for. But at the same time, if it was him that was making those decisions at the draft, overall they didn't have a good draft. I get they started in the 3rd round, but a lot of those guys, they never saw the field. Like, what was the point of draft? And then we're talking about 7, 8, draft picks.
But the reason for that, Jeff, I'll tell you right now. So, and I feel like they just got them so they could get them up to date for this coming season. Set them. Each, like, the later rounds, just sit them.
Maybe. Once again, kicking the can down the road, being promised things, like, unless these guys are way smarter than everybody else, like, it's. You look at a guy like Isaiah Pacheco, right, with the Chiefs, immediately becomes a factor. And this was a guy, what was, like, 4th, 5th round?
7th, I believe.
Britton Brown and Zamir White were drafted before him, right? Well, maybe not. Maybe, but it was around the same rounds, right?
Yeah.
And, they weren't used at all. And Isaiah Pacheco really came into his own. So
because you know why?
Why? Because
look, we fed the ball to Jacobs.
Yeah, I get that.
Amir, Brandon Bolden
sucks.
You could think what you want. Like,
he sucks. Who's the leading rusher? Who's the second leading rusher? It wasn't Zamir. He's a scat back. It wasn't Bowden. It was Derek Carr.
Said.
Hey guys, real quick. So I got the ratings from Jeff. How about you?
Go with Aaron.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your confidence level? The 10 being the highest for McDaniels, and then a separate grade for Ziegler. Like, I want some numbers, dude.
You really want my answer?
I really want it, yeah.
Really? I give McDaniels an 8.
Go for it. Go. You're serious, right? You're serious. You're being serious.
Yeah. I give Ziegler a 10 out of 10.
Whoa.
Oh, my God. I just wanted to, like either throw up or shit on myself just hearing that.
You could think what you want. You never met the dude in person.
I don't care about. I don't give a shit about if I met the guy in person. I go by results, but
go by what you're done with.
But that's just
see.
me,
everybody knows.
I thought maybe more logical. This is where I'd say, like in the middle, that other Raider fans would say. They might say maybe Josh Ziegler, could be a little higher, could be about a 5, and then maybe Ziegler is like maybe a 6 or 7 or something, because they go by the history of the Patriots, But if you want to give me my 5 out of the 1 out of 10, I'd give Josh McDaniels a 2, and I give Ziegler I'll give him a higher grade. I give him a 6. I think he'll put up the right players for Josh McDaniels, and that's what a GM's going to do. But just because you get the right players doesn't mean they're going to win games, because it's like the Browns. They had a great draft picks. They had great draft picks. This is before Baker Mayfield, and great draft picks, great capitals. They were given A+ grade overall, and yet they didn't go to the playoffs. And it had nothing to do with the draft class. It was always the coach and the management. So you can get the best draft picks you want, you get the right players and all that, but if you don't utilize them right, that's the problem. And look, like you were making an interesting point about Zamir White and all them other guys. Zamir White should have been utilized a lot. He didn't get utilized a lot, and the Patriot way is to utilize all your running backs. The only ones that were mostly utilized, with, like we were saying before, was like Josh Jacob and Amir Abdul, the scat back. They were doing it mostly, Abdul was mostly the receiving back, but Josh Jacobs, he ran the ball, caught the ball, he did it all. But it's how you utilize the team management, and this is where I don't like Josh McDaniels, and this is why I would say he's a 2, is because he's a terrible game manager, a coach manager. He's a great play caller. I mean, if he could be a good head coach, but if he's going with what he wants to do all by himself with that egotistic ideology, he will go nowhere. I don't care how much of a smart playmaker he is. A playmaker don't mean anything unless you can manage the whole team, because you have to manage the offense, special teams, and defense. You got to get the right personnel, and if you don't have that right personnel, your play calling thing means absolutely nothing.
That's a good point, Rudy. And by the way, you stepped out, Jeff. But just to quickly summarize, Cortez ended up giving, on a scale of 1 to 10, he gave McDaniels an 8 in terms of confidence, and he gave Ziegler a 10 out of 10. And then Rudy, I believe you gave McDaniels a 2 and Ziegler a 6, right?
Yeah, see, that's being nice, but I do that because he does get the right players. I know he didn't have a first and a second, and I thought he got the right guys. They were the right guys because those are the guys that Josh McDaniels wanted.
Right.
So he did what a GM's supposed to do. He did. Now, if it was a better head coach than Josh McDaniels, I think that Ziegler would have a higher grade. He could be like between 8 and 10, but not with Josh McDaniels. That's how I put it.
So I definitely have more faith in Ziegler than I do in Josh McDaniels, but I think it is important to point out, I think there's this narrative in Raider Nation that Ziegler has made every move perfectly, and there's a few moves that he's, I think, fucked up royally. Like number one, I think the Derek Carr situation, and I actually, going beyond his decision to go ahead and bench and then eventually cut him, if he wasn't convinced that Derek Carr was the guy, I think he should have traded him at the beginning of this last season, for the 2 first-round picks that were on the table. Number one. Number two, the Chandler Jones contract, a 3-year, $51 million deal for an aging edge rusher. The Zamir White pick I thought was a head scratcher. And as you guys know, I also questioned actually the acquisition of Devontae Adams. Why? Because if you're in the process of building a team, you don't trade prime draft capital and then pay a wide receiver a boatload of money, even though he's an excellent player on and off the field. He's a great, high character guy. I still kind of question that move. So for me, like Ziegler, he's definitely hit on some things. And I think one thing that he's done really excellently is acquire draft capital and cut players that weren't, cutting it here, no pun intended, and then getting 6th, 7th round picks for guys, cutting Alex Leatherwood. Although I thought personally that they should have tried him at guard, because I think he was a young player, 1st-round guy, went to Alabama. He had the size and length, I think, to play in the NFL. And I think he was playing at guard last year, and he started developing a little bit better. So I was a little disappointed that they cut him a little prematurely to my liking. But be that as it may, they ended up cutting him, and the Bears ended up acquiring Alex Leatherwood. But this is all to say that Ziegler is a first-time GM, so I'm not going to be too hard on him. I think it's expected to make some mistakes in your first big job. But with McDaniels, it's his second go around, and to Rudy's point, he has difficulty managing games. And I think what made this season very frustrating is we're up by double-digit leads in multiple games, and all of a sudden, we collapse at the end. Guys, when I was watching week 2, in my opinion, this was actually probably the most important game of the season because it set the tone for the remainder of the season. It was week 2 against the Arizona Cardinals. We're up by 20 points at halftime. At that point, I started making fucking lunch, started getting the grill ready so I could start barbecuing and start celebrating. And all of a sudden, I look up midway through the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, we're on the verge of losing. And then that became the story of the season, going up big, then losing and collapsing at the end. And unfortunately, when a team is developing during the course of a season, you expect the team to get better and you expect not to collapse that way as the season goes on. But we saw it time and time again. We saw the team collapse against the LA Rams at SoFi Stadium. We allowed Baker Mayfield, who probably knew 3 or 4 plays from the playbook, march down the field 98 yards while Patrick Graham decided to play press man coverage, and we lost that game, that Thursday night game. Devastating. So I think that's the big takeaway from this season for me. We had a coach, and I'm not going to put it all on the coach because the players ultimately have to execute on the field, but we had a coach that went up big in several games, and then we ended up collapsing. And I really hope that next year that doesn't happen. Because it's a very heart-wrenching way to lose. And I think losing, it could be like a disease, man. Like that shit just festers and festers and festers. And the only real cure is winning.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree with that. Like I said, to me, I have to put it like this. I can't go with my emotions. I got to go with knowledge, and I got to look at what you got to think of, like what's going to happen. You know your team, you know this coach now, you know him a little bit more because you know that he's sandbagging. You're thinking he might sandbag some more, like he was doing last year,
right?
And it's possible he might sandbag. And I've seen the schedule. I want to look at the schedule we have this year. We play against the Bears. It's the first game we played, I think. Yeah, then we play the Broncos. Then we play, and it looks like you think they're easy teams. They look easy. Then it's Detroit, in Detroit. Then we played the toughest team in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs. Play the Broncos again, the Chiefs. Play the Chargers, Patriots, Jets, Packers, Vikings, Chargers, Dolphins, Bills, Colts, Steelers, and the last team, the Giants. It's not an easy schedule. It's very tough. Looks tougher than last year, That's not an easy schedule.
Right.
That's tough schedule.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. That's an extremely tough game. I don't think we can get 7 wins. I don't I just don't see it. I think if we at best we might get 4 or 5 wins. I mean, especially when you're rebuilding, you're starting with a new quarterback, Right. And I don't see us really winning our division at all. I think we're going to be 4th, not 3rd, 4th. We should have been 2nd in our division because of that sandbagging is the reason we went 3rd, despite Derek Carr rebelling against Josh McDaniels, and the running game. I mean, this could have been. We should have been 11-6.
Right.
We went the other way around. But yeah, go ahead, Al's Ghost.
No, I agree. I agree with that, Rudy. Yeah, no, I think that's great analysis there. And Yeah, I mean, you just take a look at our schedule and you think about the games where we were up significantly, and we could have been a playoff team, and it just sucks that a lot of those games went the other way, especially late in the game. I've never, I've been a Raider fan, ever since I started following football, and I've never experienced a season in which there were so many heartbreaking losses, and I think that's really the big takeaway from this year. And if I'm Josh McDaniels, I'm really concerned about making sure that that doesn't become part of the culture. I mean, as it is over the past couple of decades, we haven't been a winning organization, but I don't want to be known. It's one thing not to win, and it's another thing to choke at the end of games. And, I don't want us to become that kind of organization. I hope that this year was an aberration. It was just a weird, funky year, and I'm rooting for these guys. I mean, I don't necessarily have whole faith belief in McDaniels, but I'm also a firm believer. I mentioned this on a couple of occasions. We change head coaches like we change underwear.
Right.
And I've mentioned this stat before, fellas. Since 1969, the Pittsburgh Steelers have had 3 head coaches. And since October 2021, which wasn't all that long ago, we've had 3 head coaches. We've had Gruden, we've had Bisaccia, and now we have McDaniels.
Right.
And if there's something that this team needs, it's consistency, stability. And those are things that we haven't had for the better part of 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the winning organizations around the league, the perennial, playoff contenders, the Pittsburgh Steelers, New England Patriots. You see this happening with the Chiefs now, the Bills,
Yep.
et cetera. Even up here, I'm in the Bay Area here, and I'll call them the Santa Clara 49ers. There's consistency and stability in these organizations, and I don't think that the right move is, hey, let's just go ahead and fire these guys and bring in another regime, because we've just been doing that for like far too long. And Rudy may not like hearing this, but I'm sort of in the camp of let's just roll with these guys. We've been waiting.
We don't have a choice.
Yeah, we've been waiting for like 2 decades, right, to get a consistently winning product on the field. I'm tired of throwing darts in the dark, trying to find the right head coach, the right GM.
Yeah, going back
with these guys.
Yeah, I don't want to fire somebody.
Well,
yeah, I don't think that's.
How can you fire?
That's the dumbest thing for you to do. That's what we've been doing, Rudy.
Yeah, but you know what though? Here's the thing though. It's really hard to fire someone. You can fire a first-time head coach, but you don't have someone to replace him. That's the problem. And I understand what Al Ghost is saying, because who are you going to get? You can't get Sean Payton. He's already with the Broncos. He'd be the best replacement, but you don't have him. There's no other head coaches that could replace Josh McDaniels. You just don't, And like I said, Mark Davis,
he was
all right, man. Did you
have a good night?
All right, you have a good night.
Could you wait, Cortez? Could you post the links real quick? You got to go right now.
Oh, I'll post them.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. Yeah. By the way, guys, I'm probably gonna myself have to go at like 12:15.
Yeah. All right. I won't be too long either.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll be listening to you guys on the live real quick. I got to go pick up my buddy from work real quick, but always great.
All right, bro. You always could hit me up on Discord.
Yeah,
no, for sure. I'll hit you up, Cortez. And I know you want to start a live on Saturdays, but I don't know if you've decided on that, Cortez. But
yeah, bro, I'm down. Like, just let me know when you're
my friend's
available.
Be here
Any of you,
Saturday.
Rudy?
Yeah,
Rudy.
My friend's gonna be here tomorrow, Saturday.
Or in the night?
Well, I don't know. He's coming here about 5 o'clock, about 4 or 5 o'clock West Coast time. So I don't know. I'll try. I'm not going to promise anything.
Yeah, or
I'll
maybe
try.
next week, because
next week. Yeah.
Like it's not just going to be Raiders that day. We're just going to talk about everything. Baseball, basketball.
Baseball and basketball. I like to rather play them than I used to
Like
to watch.
anything, we could talk about anything.
Oh, you
what's
could talk
going
about
on with
MMA
the team.
fighting. I don't
To
mind
be
that.
honest, I think I may not do a Monday show with you guys
You know,
when free agents. Oh, shit, that starts not
yeah,
next week, but the week after.
yeah,
I don't know, but I want to do a
yeah.
show on the weekends.
Okay, it's understandable.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, great chatting with you fellas. I'll be listening
All
on
right.
the road, but just
All right,
wanted to
let me
say
go
thank you.
put this
All
up
right.
in
All
the
right,
chat
man.
real
Salute.
quick.
Thanks again for joining.
Yeah. Salute.
Have
Take
a
care.
weekend.
Take care, guys.
All right, see you, how it goes.
Yeah. Like I said, it's really hard to replace coaches, but when you have Josh McGowan, you can't really fire him because not just because of the contract, but you have nobody to replace him.
Right.
You have to go, and you do have to, like a garden. You have to be patient with a garden too.
Right.
You have to be patient with it, and even if Mark Davis no longer becomes the owner and there's another owner taking his place, he would probably have no choice but to take their chances with Josh McDowns until he's
right.
And there's a point where and I understand Mark Davis. He's not a businessman. He wanted Gruden because Gruden's a winner before.
Right.
And Gruden was actually seemed like he was the right choice. I felt like he was, and I think the stupid NFL, this whole conspiracy, like he was the sacrificial lamb for that Washington investigation and everything. And I hope I hope Gruden sues the crap out of the NFL and wins. Like a lot of people say, the NFL stands for not for long, but it's really hard. With Josh McDaniels, though, it's like you got to be real with yourself. You can't just. I got no faith in him because of he has to bring it. It's like put up or shut up, and he's not putting up. He's shutting up too much, and that's the problem I have with him. Because if he put up, we would be doing better. We'd be at least a playoff team. Maybe we would be a 10-7 team at least, at the very least. But or we could have been. It's disappointing. It's really disappointing. And then what he does is he just gives up on that notion of going to the playoffs and say, no, we're just going to rebuild. Because it wasn't going to be a rebuild originally because you had, like Alex Go said, you had Chandler Jones. You paid him big money. You did get Rock Yassin, and you did get some other free agents. Some that didn't work out. Even Anthony Averett didn't work out. I thought he was a good pick, really. But, I could be wrong just like anyone else. But, wasn't a good pick. He just didn't fit the system.
All right, Jeff, I'm out of here.
All right, peace out, Cortez. Thanks again for joining. Thanks for posting the links too again. All right,
No. All right, see you guys.
Right,
I may hit you up tomorrow during the day, Rudy, to let you know if I'm going to.
All right. Right now, I had the Discord. I used that Edge instead of using Chrome because for some reason Chrome was not working with Discord. So I had to use Edge. I just found out how to just do it. And I was able to get on Discord, and I don't know what it is because I've been using Discord on Chrome for a while. And, it was just messing me up. That's why I couldn't get through very much, and
right.
Also, I'd just be a viewer on YouTube and everything. But
got it.
But I did get through, and this is the thing. If Josh McDaniels can prove me wrong, which I don't believe he can, because when you lose some great players, you use the quarterback, it's starting all over. I don't care what anybody says; it takes years. It's not going to take like Mark Davis says, Rome wasn't built in one day. Well, you have players that could be a part of the Roman Empire, but when you get rid of your main general, you get rid of him. Now you're starting all over. And you're starting all over, and you have an unproven head coach because the unproven head coach should not have that right. In my opinion, Derek Carr is a proven quarterback. Josh McDaniels is not a proven coach. I think Josh McDaniels can be a proven coach, but he's got to make changes to what he can't just go all him. He's got to learn that you got to manage all the teams. You got to manage the offense, defense, special teams. You got to get those right guys, and it's not an easy job. Guys like Andy Reid, they know how to do it. Bill Belichick, much as I don't like him, he knows how to do it too. But but yeah, that's about it. It's just I got so much question marks, and
Right.
I just don't see it. I just don't. People think that the greatest play caller can be the greatest head coach, and that doesn't always mean it. And remember, he wasn't a great play caller even with New England because they barely went to the playoffs. Barely.
Right.
But but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
I really don't believe we'll take Stroud or any of them. I think we're to probably go defense, and they'll draft a quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round.
Mm-hmm.
If that quarterback doesn't work, then they'll draft another quarterback next year.
Yeah. I mean,
probably likely happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to see. I mean, as we've talked about throughout the show, a lot of decisions for this team coming up. Not only Josh Jacobs with the franchise tag, but draft picks, free agents, the direction of this franchise in terms of coaching staff, as well as just overall philosophy and how they're going to approach their schedule in the division. Do they tank again this coming year for the sake of Caleb Williams? Do they get a quarterback this year? All this we're going to have to figure out. The one thing I will say is one thing for sure is that the combine is tomorrow, and be sure that Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler are going to be there. They're going to analyze, especially the quarterbacks, as well as the receivers and tight ends that will be there as well. So they'll be evaluating a lot of that talent, and that will definitely play a factor into their decisions into the draft coming up. So with that, we're going to end our live show for today. Thank you, Rudy, for joining, as well as thank you to all the members of our panel for joining as well. Thank you to the mods in the chat, as always, for holding it down. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, so we appreciate you tremendously for that, as always. And last but not least, thank you to our viewers for commenting along and watching with us as we throughout our episodes. We had another great episode as always. We had a great flow of comments. We had a lot of great discourse going on throughout this broadcast, and so we can't thank you enough for that as well. Like I said, thank you, Rudy, for joining and sticking with us for this long. Just a quick reminder before we end, as always, Cortez posted all the links to our platforms. That's the Discord. We'd love for you guys to join the Discord. We got movie nights. We got a Raiders chat. We talk about NHL, NBA, MLB, all kinds of sport. We have fantasy football and basketball leagues in there. We have movie nights, free giveaways. We have YouTube videos. We have all kinds of great stuff. It's a great community. We'd love for you guys to join us in there. Our Twitch channel is one of the platforms that we're currently streaming to. That's the Death Star Report Twitch channel. That link was just posted in the comments section. Our YouTube channel, the Death Star Report YouTube channel, that link was posted there as well. Our Instagram, the Death Star Report Instagram, that was just posted. So if you guys could check out those 4 things, once again, like I said, join the Discord, like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for our YouTube channel. Follow and send us some likes on our Instagram. That would be much appreciated as well. And last but not least, follow us and keep up with us on Twitch as well. That would be very appreciated. And like I said, thank you guys for another great episode. Thank you to Rudy. Thank you guys for hanging with us this long. Have a great weekend. Hopefully some great stuff comes out of the combine, as well as some other great news. So with that, salute everyone, and have a good one.
Later, everybody.
Wake up to the sounds of the silence that allows for my mind to run around with my ear up to the ground. I'm searching to behold the stories that I told when my back is to the world. Was smiling when I turned.
Thinking out the box, I'm an astronaut. I blasted off a planet, rock that caused catastrophe. And it matters more because I had it. Now I had a thought about wreaking havoc on an opposition. Kinda shocking, they want a static with position. I'm automatic, quarterback, I ain't talking shit.